Hey guys, it's Brooke with the Junk Parlor, hopping on here for our 25 days of Christmas. So I think this is going to be an interesting little DIY because I didn't get to test my thought process because I knew I had tons of jewelry because I normally save it so I can make the jewel trees. But I had seen something I thought on Pinterest, but then of course when I go back to try and find it, I couldn't find it. But I have tons of jewelry. I do not have tons of skulls. So used to, I had a whole bunch of cow skulls. They didn't have the horns. The plain skulls do not sell as well. So I normally bedazzle them, and I should have grabbed one that I've already bedazzled. I call bedazzle just when you put jewels on something. And so I was going to do this with a deer skull. I can't remember, it's called something specific, like a European mount or something, where you have some of the skull on there with the antlers. Sometimes you just have the antlers. And right now, all I have is really just two antlers connected. I don't have the skull coming down, which I really wanted. But all of the ones that we own are off limits because they are my kids. And I normally have them, and I just don't have any right now. And so that's how it goes, right? I have jewels, but not that. So we are going to do the one set of antlers that I do have. I'm also going to show you something that you could do on a single antler. And then I am going to go ahead and bedazzle a tree. So I have my glue gun ready again. I have my E6000 glue ready. And then Shelda, who is a massive crafter, and I think it's Shelda's Crossing. I'm going to draw a blank on her shop name. She suggested, or she does crafting all the time. And she had suggested JB Weld, I think, is some kind of glue that she gets at Walmart. I was going to go get it this morning after I worked out, but they don't open until 7 in the morning. And I got done working out at 6 in the morning, and I wasn't going to just la-di-da for an hour. And living in the country, you kind of budget your time a little bit differently. So I have this skull, not a skull, but this part is the skull. And I just put a wire through it. The holes were already there. A lot of times what I'll do to hang it is maybe put wire on each antler and then wrap it around. Or a lot of times on the skull, there are spots on the back side that you can just add wire to. Hey, Christy. And then you can hang it on the wall. So then I just have one of those hooks that you nail into the wall, and I have the wire hooked on that. I wanted to have it held up so I could so I could see what it was going to look like when it was hanging, because that's how I'm going to display it. I'm not going to have it laying down. So the next thing I did, which you really can't see, let me scoot over here. I kind of just sorted my jewelry. Let's see if I put my camera down. So I kind of sorted my jewelry on what, oh gosh, I knocked something which knocked my tripod. Kind of sorted what jewelry I wanted to use for the skull, with this being kind of the front and center piece. I also have this necklace, which I'm holding on to my tripod. We'll see if it tips over. But I could see hanging this on the skull as well, and bam, really that would be all that you would need. But just because we're doing a project, I figured that was too simple, so we would bedazzle a little bit more. I took pliers and I tried, this is pretty thick wire, I tried to smash it as close to the darn skull head as I possibly could, but I am a little bit hesitant about how this is going to stick on there because the wire comes out a little bit and this is such a big piece. So because this is a pin, my thought process is to just slide the pin down there on the wire, and then I don't know if I'm going to be able to close it up while it's hanging on the wall, but I can close it up later. But I would just get this centered, and then I can glue it. But then it's not just going to fall down and fall off, if that makes sense. So kind of like last time, the E6000 glue doesn't set up too quickly where your glue gun does, but the hot glue is also going to be something that doesn't stick as well when it gets hot and cold. And so that's why I was really wanting to use E6000, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. Now I put ample amount. Let's see if I can get that scooted over just a little bit. I don't understand why it doesn't want to move. But that was why Shelda had suggested this JB Weld glue, which I'm going to try and get for future projects. But she said you don't want to get it on your fingers. You need to put the lid on the cap very quickly because it does dry out there on the tip. But that way you don't have to worry about holding something in place to get it to set up, and you don't have to worry about when the temperature changes that it changes. So I like to have something dangled down. Now, you know, just imagine the skull was coming all the way down here. I would still do something like this on the forehead. And then I'm just going to take some of the jewelry that I laid out and I'm just going to start gluing it on willy-nilly, probably. I am going to cut off some of the earring backs because then you have more to glue to. I'm going to attempt to use some of the E6000 glue and then do a dab of hot glue as well to try and get it to stick immediately. Especially because we're hanging vertically. If it was laying on a flat surface, then I wouldn't worry about it so much. So we'll just kind of play by ear and see how this goes. But you can always keep filling in with smaller pieces of jewelry. So I have necklaces that have that are necklaces that are beaded. I have some jeweled necklaces that we could use. I have chained necklaces with chains on them. So you're just going to keep bedazzling. So if you ever need filler, you can just fill with like some chain. If you have string pearls, pearls are pretty if you can work those in. I've also pinned on Pinterest. You should follow me on Pinterest if you're not. But I've pinned, they made nests, like bird nests, out of strands of pearl, and it's gorgeous. But that kind of gives you a basic idea of what to do. And then I'd shown you this necklace before, but you could do something like this on a skull, especially if it was bigger. You could even come back here and hang something on it and just glue it onto the antlers like that as well. So that's kind of an option. So what I did here was, it looks like a jumbled mess right now, but the concept is I just took this old frame And I painted this a long time ago. This is just a print that was probably something ugly or stupid that I didn't like anyway. So I just painted over it. I had a clip on here so someone could kind of use this like a clipboard. But obviously it didn't sell, so I still have it. And so I decided this would actually be a perfect format for making a jeweled tree. And so you can do these like a million different ways. I've seen them with fabric, with beads, every little thing. So what I like to do is just start with a outline of the tree. So I like to use chalk because it will wipe off, where if you use like a marker or something, you're going to be able to see it. Tape, kind of the same thing. Maybe you glue over your tape and that messes stuff up. So I don't know what's wrong with my phone here. I like to just do it with chalk. And then I lay things out. A lot of times my star of my tree, I did this earring as a base, and then I'm going to lay in these pins. Again, just kind of thinking about, okay, this round one, a round one, a round one, a round one, and it's kind of spreading them out. This one is like a rainbow color, kind of a rainbow color. And just thinking about being a little bit strategic. There's a little bit of art to deciding what you're going to do and where you're going to put your pieces. And at this point, I have not like cut off the backs. Now this one I did, because it was a straight going into your ear one. But I really haven't done that on any of the others. So these two earrings match, so I would want to make sure I'm putting them in different locations on the tree. And really, this probably would be a good corner. So again, I would cut the back off. And I forgot I was going to show you an antler. Your bell here, that could go nice in the center. And then kind of the same thing that we were doing with the antlers is you're just filling in. If you noticed, I picked a lot of, what would you call them? Neutral colored things so that there wasn't a lot of color to it since we already have pink. I mean, these earrings, I don't know if I can even work them both in, but I just kind of laid around the edge of the frame here some of the options. I have a ton of options. Like, I think this is gorgeous, but it might be too competing, which actually it looks fine right there. So you just kind of have to think about those things. I mean, this one would be an option to put on there. This one is absolutely ginormous. So, you might overlay it or tuck it in so that stuff goes over it on some spots and under it in other spots. And so then we just start basically gluing down and filling in. So I think the idea of cutting the backs off of some of these, I am going to do that. And then we're just going to start gluing down, and then we can fill in. So I have seen where they've taken beads and outlined it. I have seen where they have done fabric and stitched the jewelry to the fabric and then glued the fabric down and put like pearls or a necklace as a border around it. So really, I think you can do it however you want. So I would say that's probably a pretty good start right there. I might come in after things have dried and kind of add in. I love this mother of pearl cross pin, so I might add it somewhere to fill it in, but that kind of gives you an idea of how you're going to make a jeweled Christmas tree here with this single antler. So this is just a shed. It looks like some of it has broke off before. You can screw these into a board and use this as your towel bar or to hang jewelry. This one is very curved, but you can also screw in from a board into the antler. And the ones that stand up more especially, use this to hang your jewelry from. So I have this necklace. Now, this was tied up for a long time with like twisty ties, and I thought it was tassels, but it's actually a necklace. So one idea that I have for this, if I wanted to bling out some more antlers, is I would just glue this down on the antler and wrap it. And then I probably would go back and cut this big end off once I have made sure that the chains are all glued on there. And I would kind of spread the chains out so it covered up more surface area. So then I would glue all that, and then I would cut like the ends off. But I think that that would be a neat way to bedazzle it. I'm sure you've seen where people will wrap twine around them, and this just kind of makes it a little more feminine. And then this is a gorgeous bracelet, or maybe it's a necklace, but you could even do multiple layers on this with the turquoise wrapping around the necklace as well, if I can get it unhooked now, just to get some color, and, you know, glue those on and have it be decorative. But that would be something. Then you can hang this on the wall. You don't even have to do anything else with it. So that's a couple possibilities. Another necklace that I have that I think would be fun to do, this is kind of like, I don't even know, snake, but it wraps, it accordions really well. So you could, again, glue it on here starting at the bottom, and then just twist and wrap and go up as far as you can. And this is going to want to go the opposite direction. And you could do this with a leather belt too, and then glue it on, and then you'd cut off these extra little chains. But that is a way to bedazzle your antlers as well. So those things, along with, I've seen lace and doilies as options as well. Lots of different things that you can do with your jewelry that you go and pick up at thrift stores or garage sales or wherever, and do a project with them.